Hello, hello, hello. This is Gouda.Murder, a podcast about sharp kills and cheesy thrills. Listen in on a group of gals talking true crime and all things cheese.
Hey cheese bags, it's your Gouda gal Coda, and I am here with Gouda.Murder Podcast. I am hosting a cheese bite for you today because it is Libra season, and our Gouda gal Kelli is a Libra herself. So we decided, what better than to do a series of Libra serial killers and or criminals. So today my topic is the trash bag killer, also known Patrick Wayne Kearney. He could also be called the hitchhiker killer, the highway hitchhiker killer. Patrick Wayne Kearney was born in Los Angeles in 1939. He was that typical scrawny kid who was bullied by his peers in school. Kearney described his mother as a doting mother, a homemaker, but his father was a salesman and not much of a father. He was very distant and uninterested in parenting. He taught his son Patrick how to use a gun though, and that was about it. Kearney admitted to law enforcement later on that he had his first thoughts of killing people at age 8. So he was messed up in the head from the very beginning. Whether it was his parents' fault or if he was just born that way, this started early. Kearney married briefly. He moved to Texas, but that ultimately ended in divorce, so he moved back to California. He bore no children. In 1967, Kearney met and fell in love with a man named David Hill, with whom he would move to Redondo Beach. Kearney confessed that he started his murdering spree in 1962. He picked up a 19-year-old white male and drove him on his motorcycle to a secluded area. He shot the young man in the head and sexually assaulted his body. Along with being a murderer, Kearney was a necrophiliac, and he only assaulted his victims post-mortem. Kearney was extremely smart, though. After being caught, he confessed to police that in 1968, he had shot and killed a man, but didn't remember his name. Police asked what he did. He shot the man in the head with a .22 caliber gun, cut him up, put him in a box, and put that box under the apartment building he was living in. But Kearney knew that that bullet could trace back to him, so he had to remove it from the victim's skull. When police found the remains of the victim with the help of Kearney's map that he had drawn, there was a hole from the gunshot wound in the skull and marks from Kearney's hacksaw where he had cut open the victim's head to retrieve the bullet. This was proof that Kearney was indeed telling the truth when he was confessing. But how did he get caught? How did he start confessing to the police? Well, bodies were turning up across Riverside County, California. In March 1977, 17-year-old John LeMay did not return home from school. His family filed a missing persons report immediately. Police had already found a body in Corona. Hands, feet, and head had been removed from the body to prevent identification. However, the body had a birthmark, which gave clue to trace back to LeMay's family. After taking blood samples from the family, police were positively able to identify John LeMay. LeMay's mother then told police that John had told her he was going to see, or maybe he hadn't told his mother specifically, had told a friend or something that he was going to see a man named David Hill. And that was the last she knew. And that began the unraveling of Kearney's reign of terror. Police went to David Hill's home where he lived with Patrick Kearney. There they found blue carpet that would later be matched to fibers found on some victims. The couple also had a white dog, and police had found white animal hair in the trash bags of some of the victims. So when later law enforcement returned with a search warrant, Kearney and Hill had fled. While searching the home, plastic had been found in the vacuum, little round pieces of plastic, and that plastic matched trash bags that Kearney had in his attic. Those bags were specifically used at Hughes Aircraft, Kearney's employer. Later on, months later, Kearney and Hill decided to turn themselves into Riverside County Sheriff's Office. Kearney confessed to more than 30 murders, but since only 21 bodies were found, that was all he was charged with in total. Kearney was sentenced to life and still resides in Mule Creek State Prison. He is 84 years old. When I was listening to a documentary about this man, when I was reading about him, it was kind of like, okay, this is a typical serial killer. But what really hit me was that his youngest victim was 5 years old. I don't know what possessed him to go after a 5-year-old, but he suffocated that boy. His next youngest victim was an 8-year-old. He took that little boy out for ice cream, but then was afraid that after spending a couple hours with this kid, taking him out for ice cream and hamburgers, that he might have said something that if this little boy started talking to his parents or someone else and said, hey, this guy took me for ice cream and a hamburger, and he said this, and this, that things would start unraveling and police would come for him. So he decided it wasn't safe to let this boy go. He suffocated him as well. Victims ranged from 5 years old to 28 years old. Kearney only picked up males. The older ones, thank God it was the older ones. I mean, everything in this case is absolutely horrifying, but I don't think I could have actually reported on this if he had treated all of his victims the same. The youngest ones were suffocated and disposed of, but the others were shot and then assaulted. Police did say, they told one family that their son and brother did not suffer because he didn't know what was going on. He was shot and killed before the rest of it happened to him. So one sister said she had to believe that was one thing that brought her peace, was knowing that her brother didn't suffer. So this man was very, very organized. He was very specific on how he did things. He even mailed back car keys to one family from a victim. He had possession of the keys in the car, but he didn't want to just dispose of the keys because he had to know where everything was and how everything was going. So they even found envelopes that matched the envelope those keys were mailed with. And that is what really nailed them down on this man. His partner, David Hill, was not charged. He made sure that police would not touch him. He loved him so much that he didn't want him to be involved whatsoever. So he made a deal. I will not fight this. I will plead guilty to everything if you leave him out of it. So not really sure if David Hill was involved actually, or if he was just living in the house. But to say that he knew nothing, I don't know if I believe that. But anyway, David Hill walked away scot-free, and Kearney took all of it, all the blame, rightfully so, I guess. That if you want to hear more about this and in more detail, I strongly suggest you go listen to this documentary called World's Most Evil Killers. And this episode is from season 5. It's episode 7. They have interviews from family. They have the officers who dealt with the case. Extremely good listen. It's only a 45-minute video. Worth it. You can listen to it in the car while you're driving around today if you wanted to. But trash bag killer. He was a Libra. He was born on September 24th. So that's why I picked him. Like I said, our Gouda.Murder Kelli, it's her birthday season, and we had to do this. We needed to celebrate her. pick out a zodiac and, we did it for our girl Kelli. So that is our new tradition. I am not the only one doing an episode about these Libra killers today. So keep an ear and an eye open for some more birthday extravaganza from my other Gouda gals. Keely and Kelly should be posting soon. As always, listen in. Let us know if you want to hear about anything else. We have an email you can get a hold of us, Gouda.Murder@gmail. You can also find us, Gouda.Murder Podcast Official on Facebook. And just keep listening. Let your friends and family know about us. You either love us, you hate us, you get a laugh from us. Whatever. As long as you're listening, we're happy. And stay fresh. We'll see you soon. Hear from you soon. You'll hear from us. Have a good day, cheese bags.